click on the Reports tab, select the customer quote, and choose either Quote Wizard by Build Phase or Quote Wizard by Workbook. The Quote Wizard by Build Phase allows you to provide a quote separated out into foundations, footings, brickwork, shell, etc. The Quote Wizard by Workbook allows you to create a quotation separated into the various elements of the job: walls, windows, doors, roof, etc. For bungalows or extensions or houses, I would recommend that you use Quote Wizard by Build Phase. Once the dialog has opened, you can decide how much or how little detail you wish to provide. The basic No Resources Specified, as shown, will simply provide a listing of all the phases of the job that you have quoted and a price summary. However, if you wish to provide more detail, simply select the radio buttons to choose the amount of detail you wish to provide. Normally you'd press the key Resources. This will provide details of all the materials used in the estimate. If you click on Phase Totals, a cost for each phase will be presented within the quote. If you build in inflation, the cost for each phase will be increased to take into account the impact of inflation. If you wish to simplify the description of each of the materials, click on the Customer-Friendly description. This will give you more latitude with the materials you actually supply, and also suppresses items like pack sizes, which are of no interest to the client. If you select Order Quantities, each quantity, excluding waste, will be presented within the estimate. If you click on the Build Phase picture, a small picture will appear against each phase to help the customer navigate around the quote and to make it look a bit different from everything else they received. You can also embed your own pictures if you wish. Let's press Print and the software will provide the quote. Set the rate of VAT. In this case there's no VAT because it is new build. Click OK and the quote will be generated. Once you have configured the wizard to your preferences, you simply need to press the Print button each time you want to produce a quote. After a few seconds, the quote will appear. Let's have a look and see what's contained within the quote. On the first page, clearly the customer's name and address will appear. You can also get the software to embed your logos or print out the quote on your own headed paper. To the right of the screen, you will see the standard opening letter. You can edit this, and indeed you can save several different edits to the system to allow quick selection and incorporation within the quote. Let's scroll down the screen and see the actual detail of the quote. The first page deals with all the preliminaries. Moving further down the screen, the software is providing all of the details of each phase of the job. Let's enlarge this so we can see it in more detail. Here, for example, you can see that for the foundations for the external cavity brick walls, we've got 12 cubic meters of concrete. On the internal walls, we've got 5.8 cubic meters. The total cost is then presented, taking into account the profit margin that you have selected and also the inflation rate that's applied. Moving further down the screen, for argument's sake, we can see that the facing bricks are the 75p bricks we selected when we created the estimate. There are 223 of those below DPC in the external brick walls. Moving further down the screen, you can see that everything is identified to construct the slab, including perimeter insulation and so on. As we move further down the screen into the brickwork shell, you can see that the software has merged all the different elements of the job. You can see here that we've got soldier courses, brick and block cavity walls, damp-proof courses around DPCs and so on. Everything is automatically combined within the software to provide a comprehensive estimate for your client and to demonstrate to them that you have thought of everything that is required for the job. There's the budgets that we put in for the plumbing and the electrical work. I always think that the plastering is a particularly interesting aspect of the software as it pulls together all of the different elements of the job. You can see here that we've got the plastering of the ceiling, plastering of the brick walls, plastering to the reveals, to the doors and windows, and to the bifold doors. Next we move on to joinery second fix, and again everything is fully detailed so that the client can fully understand the total content of the estimate. Finally, at the end of the job, there is an acceptance for the client. You can also add your simple terms and conditions, but generally speaking, we would recommend that you use Contracts Expert to provide a detailed binding contract.